And spawning in the bottom left hand corner of our Kione, we have our South Korean Zerg player, the Red Zerg. Ooh, one of the favorites to take the entire tournament. Can he be stopped? Representing Gaimin Gladiators, it is SHIN. And spawning in the top right hand corner, we have his opponent, we have the Teal Protoss player. It is LunaSea. And if you're in the chat, predictions are now open. Place your bets on who you believe will take the series. Best of luck in the chat. Again, LunaSea was able to bring down Demi 2-0. We'll see how LunaSea compares to SHIN. We shall see. As LunaSea is in position, will force the unnatural natural. SHIN forced to expand elsewhere. Does not go for the gold though, doesn't mine out the mineral patches. Will go for the triangular third instead. And LunaSea will confirm. Very important as well, SHIN is no stranger to going for the gold on this map in this matchup. And LunaSea does make sure. Este fiat. 1 AM EU. Yeah, you'll be fine. Be fine. As LunaSea should be going for more standard openers at least. I mean, we already casted LunaSea earlier against Demi, and we saw LunaSea be quite tricky in the mid-game. It was game 1 where LunaSea went for a Stargate opener into a delayed third, into Twilight Council, into Glaive Adepts. Slightly delayed third base, might I add. Likewise, the game after that, we saw Stargate opener into a Fleet Beacon, into a Tempest Rush, into Ground Toss as well. So LunaSea clearly is one to really thrive in the mid-game and try to catch his opponent off guard. At least that's what we're used to seeing. We'll see how he approaches SHIN. We'll see if he can catch SHIN with his pants down. We shall see. As for now, SHIN is just droning up. Saturating his third, or his natural. Stargate opener here for LunaSea. And I'm curious if we're going to be opening up Phoenix again. Also, as a reminder, against Demi, LunaSea did very often open up Phoenix to hunt down Overlords and to deny vision. Deny scouting from the Zerg. As SHIN does attempt a scout. The wall is open, that is true, but you can see that the Adept is hidden. The Adept is hidden here, further back at the ramp. SHIN does confirm. Once the Adept moves out, then the Link can move in. But last LunaSea is in position. And Stalker has arrived. They're looking to be forced back. Link does, yeah, it's going to be forced back. And we have extra Links on the way. Quite a lot, actually. 14 Links in production. Alongside Link speed. Is going to be an Oracle opener. Oracle followed by a Twilight Council. Now, bearing in mind, LunaSea can feel safe knowing that the Overlord is trapped. The Overlord is stuck here at the pillar, thanks to the Stalker. And this is a tell that something is amiss. SHIN is checking for the third base. And if there's no third, there should be tech. The money should be spent somewhere at this point. Oracle is revealed. Now SHIN is aware of the Stargate opener. Still checking for the third. And we can see a gateway explosion behind this. Yeah, 2 extra gateways here at the natural. It's going to be 4 gate glaives for LunaSea. SHIN going for the surround. We'll try to catch up the Stalker. Baits out the Pulsar Beam. Baits out the beam. Bearing in mind there's only 1 Oracle. Gas being spent elsewhere. And LunaSea is stuck on 2 bases. And again, the fact that there is still no expansion and no second Oracle is a massive tell. And we should be seeing a safety Roach Warren, or a Bailey Nest. We'll see for the time being, just Lings. And there it is, Roach Warren is on the way at around the 4-minute 30 mark. Safe timing for the Roach Warren. So SHIN will have the tools to defend. He will have access to Roaches as he does move out across the map. So safe follow-up by SHIN. He hasn't seen what's going on, but he knows that something's wrong. He is aware that something is amiss. Lings, they keep poking in. Ooh, and they may have seen a handful of extra adepts there. More adepts on the way. Lings are amassing. Shin cutting workers at 50. So 50 drones for Shin. Roach Warren is now done. And Shin is on 3 gases. 2 gases in the main, 1 gas here at the natural. Roach production is also starting up for Shin. Here come the adepts, and in a couple of seconds, Shin will have those roaches. At the same time, getting ready to fully wall off. Walls off the natural. Adepts are going to be denied entry. Adepts, they hit the third. They shade in. They break through the Evo Chamber. Evo Chamber goes down, but the roaches have arrived just in time. Adepts get surrounded, and Shin will not take any economic damage. He shuts down the Adepts. The Oracles, they still poke in, so we have more Adepts on the way. And they get maybe 1 drone, but not much else. As Shin has defended, and you know what? Shin is now turning this defense into an offense. Can now counterattack. Queens are moving out. Ravagers, Lings as well. The creep is solid. And Shin, he's waddling. The waddle has begun. The Queens are marching out across the map. LunaSea trying to hold on to the third. The shield batteries are on the way, but it's only Glaive Adepts to defend. We have some sentries. We have some force fields. It's going to be a tough hold, bearing in mind that to deal with the force fields are Ravagers. Ravagers are morphing in. So Ling, Ravager for Shin. No lair, no roach speed. Force field's going to be thrown down. The stasis trap is scouted. Yeah, the stasis is denied. Both of them are. Both stasis full. Pylon under fire. That's a bit of an Artosis pylon. Oh, does depower both shield batteries. The overcharge does nothing, and Shin has broken through. Will shut down the third base, and there's almost nothing to defend. There's 1 shield battery left. There's 1 Oracle in the sky, but that's what the Queens are for. The Biles are brutal. GG gets called, and Shin takes game number 1. GG. Again, Shin responding quite nicely here to the build of LunaSea. Again, even though Shin didn't know exactly what LunaSea was doing, he did, of course, was able to recognize how late the expansion was, how few oracles there were, and that there had to be gas being spent somewhere else. Did play it safe, did set up a wall, throw down the Roach Warren, and was ready in time. And with that, GG. GG, well played. Shin takes the first game, and we'll see if LunaSea can pull a fast one over on Shin here in game 2. We shall see. That's not the only build that LunaSea has. It is not the only build. And now we're going to be loading into Oceanborn. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Oceanborn, we have the South Korean Zerg player, the Red Zerg representing Gaiman Gladiators, leading the series 1-0. It is Shin. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have his opponent, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the Teal Protoss. Down in the series, we're going to bounce back here and now to force the ace match. It is LunaSea. We go. Now, I don't expect the same build again. I don't expect the same build 2 games in a row, but we could see a variation. We could see even a Stargate opener into just a straight up 2-base all-in and 6-gate Glaive Adepts. That I wouldn't be too fond of either, to be fair. We could see a more standard opener into a 3-base all-in. I'm referring to like an 8-gate plus 1, or sorry, an 8-gate Blink Stalker all-in off of 3 bases. Could see a fast Fleet Beacon. There are options if LunaSea did want to try to go for something crazy. Definitely options available, but clearly, unfortunately, after game 1, I'm sure Shin is on notice, right? I'm sure Shin, he's on notice as to how aggressive LunaSea is playing, and is going to be that much more careful moving forward. As LunaSea does poke into the main, trying to force some inefficient mining. So far, Shin is keeping up. Behind this, gate expanded to Cybercore, standard opener out of LunaSea. And from here, we can calm down. We can calm things down and settle in. LunaSea still just being as annoying as possible. Should be moving out to try and get eyes and try and delay the third. I'll make sure there is one. And based on the pylon positioning, it should be a Stargate opener for LunaSea as the pylon is thrown down further out. There it is, Stargate has been placed, at least initially. So far, so good. Everything is looking as it should. Everything is looking normal. But as a reminder, last game, it was a Stargate opener into Twilight Council, into Glaives. As the pylon will delay the third. Oh. Okay, we're good. I was a little bit concerned for a moment. Council will delay. If you're seeing some frame drops, they're not affecting the players, thankfully. I'm pretty sure it is on my end. Maybe after this series, if we have more games on the Korean server, I will activate a VPN. This is something that sometimes happens at peak hours in Korea, specifically my connection to the Korean server. And usually a VPN does fix it. So I will get on that. I can't do it mid-game, otherwise I'll just lag out like that. So, clearly today is not the best day for the Korean server. Fun fact, this issue doesn't really occur during KSL, because the KSL is earlier in the day. But again, during peak hours, when the Korean server is being used, it's sometimes a little bit unstable. Meanwhile, there we have it. Stargate opener into a Phoenix follow-up into a second Stargate. Okay, this is what we're waiting for. This is what we were looking out for here. From the Protoss, Oracle moves out. Phoenix will shut down the Overlord. Now, what's interesting is that it's not a fleet beacon, right? There's no rush into the Sky Tussle that we saw previously. Instead, I imagine double Stargate Mass Phoenix? Question mark? Or Mass Oracle? Nah, okay, there we go. Oh my god. Now we get the fleet beacon on the way. Interesting that we threw down the fleet beacon after the second Stargate. Interesting choice. Does mean that the Stargate's going to be inactive for a little bit longer. As LunaSea's building up, and this should be a Tempest rush. I say should be, we have seen carrier rushes before, but I imagine Tempest, and this should be the same build that we saw against Demi earlier today on Alkyone. Back at home, SHIN is happily droning, saturating his bases, droning on up. Behind this plus on melee is on the way. Ooh, and it is going to be a carrier rush instead. Very interesting. So this is not quite the same build that we saw against Demi earlier. It does make sense now that we would sync up those Stargates to make the carriers at the same time. And I'm curious how hard we commit to this, because already you can see a bit of a ground toss transition. Forge, Twilight Council into +1 and either blink or charge. LunaSea's already working on the next step. Yeah, there's the gateway explosion. So the carriers are going to be more of a supportive unit. Their initial reveal can be quite surprising and can do a lot of damage. That is true. But ideally, I'm sure LunaSea is hoping for an overreaction and an over-response to Corruptors. As Lingual Scout will confirm, gets eyes on the carrier. SHIN is now aware. Back at home, building up more queens. We are on how many queens so far? 9 queens in total. 2 more on the way, going to be 11. Spire has now been thrown down. And LunaSea is moving out. Queens are coming together. Queens are building up. Carriers do reveal themselves. And the queens, they should be able to hold their own with Transfuse. Up. Oh, there we go. Transfuse does go up. Yeah, they pull back to the Spore. More queens have arrived, and these interceptors shouldn't be able to get much done here. They're going for a queen. They will get. Oh, they will barely not get one. Another Transfuse. Yeah, the queens, they do survive. They fend off the carriers, and across the map, there is the ground toss transition. It's going to be Charge Lot Archon. If you remember, with the Tempest build, it did lead into +1 Blink Stalkers. This time, Charge Lot Archon instead. The initial carrier push didn't really get much done, and it is only going to be 2 carriers. I was expecting maybe 4. I was expecting maybe a second wave of carrier, but no, it's only 2 carriers. And again, the goal here is for LunaSea to try to force a wave of corruptors. There are some corruptors on the way, but honestly not too many. It's only going to be 5. 5 corruptors. Baneliness has been thrown down. Roach speed is on the way, plus 2 melee as well. SHIN is not actually investing too heavily into these corruptors, thankfully.
Your forces are under attack.
SHIN does spot the zealots. Zealots have been spotted. Roach production has begun. And again, SHIN is focusing on his ground army. Oracle is being called out. Scouts at least the corruptor production. And here comes LunaSea. Now, what is the ground army looking like for SHIN? He's got 5 roaches. He's got 16 marines. No ravagers yet, which is a little bit concerning. It's still just a handful of lings and roaches. LunaSea can try to break through this. The longer this goes on, the worse it's going to be for LunaSea. He's pushing up the ramp. They try to collapse in. Queens hold the line. That's a lot of queens. Some clutch transfused as well. The corruptors are, sorry, the carriers are going to be cleaned up, but the ground army is breaking through. Not enough roaches. Yeah, just barely not enough roaches. Zealots are getting some of the production, but more roaches are on the way. 16 roaches in production. And again, the longer this goes on, the better it is for SHIN. And LunaSea is running out of zealots, running out of gateway units. More reinforcements have arrived. Roach Warren goes down. Big pickup. And now only lings to reinforce. LunaSea trying to catch out more of these roaches. But again, he's running out of steam. Zealots are being cleaned up. Queens from the right-hand side as well. And we can't afford to lose these Archons. And one of the Archons goes down. And more lings coming in to reinforce as well. And SHIN, I think he barely has held. Yeah, takes on the final Archon. Forces this army back. Only a handful of Stalkers. They're vanilla Stalker. Oh, no, sorry, they have Blink. They do have Blink. They can get away. But SHIN holds. It was a close hold. Like, we were so close. LunaSea was so close to getting into a mineral line and getting some critical economic damage, but he barely wasn't able to do it. SHIN barely held on. And now can outscale. SHIN has a 4th. Has a 5th base on the way. Greater Spire. Hive is done. Adrenal as well. His army will quickly outscale LunaSea. LunaSea was committed, was pretty all in with that. Oh my god, the corruptors, they sniped the main! Oh my god. I guess after the corruptors killed the carriers, they just went across the map and got the main base. Brutal. Main base did fall. So LunaSea on a 2-base economy. SHIN breaking out. Going for the Stalkers. Does catch the Archon. And the Archon barely out of range of the overcharge. Now only Blink Stalker. SHIN will respect the overcharge. He backs off. Doesn't want to overextend. He pulls away. Behind this, taking up into Hydras, into Lurkers. Greater Spires in production as well. About to finish. Which means these Corruptors can now be morphed into Broodlords. Behind the main base as well. The Broodlords are now in production. SHIN diving on the main army. No Ravagers to support, but there are plenty of Lings. And SHIN will overwhelm. This time there is no overcharge. And the Broodlords, they're about to finish. They're about to morph in as well. And LunaSea just cannot keep up. Not with this kind of army. Not after the failed all-in. GG gets called. And SHIN will take the series 2-0. GG. GG, well played, congratulations. SHIN will take the series, will advance on. Shout out to LunaSea for whipping out some varying builds. We even saw different builds than what we saw against Demi, but alas, SHIN was able to keep up, was able to shut him down, did not overreact. Remember, he only made, I think it was 8 Corruptors, did invest into his Roach army, thankfully. If he hadn't, we saw how close that fight was. We saw how close LunaSea was to breaking through the main army and getting into a mineral line, getting into the natural, getting into the 3rd base. Again, LunaSea was so close to dealing that critical damage, but barely did fall short. GG. GG, well played. SHIN will take the series, but a shout out to LunaSea here for competing and for taking part. And again, for even almost taking and almost breaking SHIN in that second game. And with that, we're now going to be calming things down and getting ready for our next round. Oh. Getting ready for the next round. Let's see if we can find any of our next players and any of our next matches. If you're in the chat, !B, we can have a look at the brackets. We have plenty of updates.